Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
When we make that payment,
Mhm.
do you make an additional separate payment and say principal only, or
Either way, you can send it in with your payment or you can send it in separately.
okay?
You can send it on a different day.
Okay.
So it's called a prepayment. And a prepayment means I give it to the bank before the next payment is due.
Okay.
Okay. So if we did that, all right, if we did that, so we would knock out over $6,000 worth of interest, correct?
Yeah.
And my next mortgage payment for February would be on line 5.
Hmm.
Does that make
Okay.
sense?
It does.
So I'm going to show you one last thing, and then we're going to go over to the 3% mortgage. Do you see the column cumulative principal and cumulative interest? That's column 3 and column 4.
Yes.
All right. So these two columns will add up how much money you pay at any given time and how much interest it will cost you at any given time. I want to look at line 12. 1 year from today, 1 year from when we start this mortgage. A year from the time we start the mortgage, we will pay this mortgage down, if we do it the bank's way, by how much money? A cumulative principal, how much money will we pay down on the principal in 1 year?
Principal $8,411.37.
And how much total interest does the bank want?
Over 26,000.
Ooh, wow. Okay, so here's my question. Since I'm going to give the bank $8,400 anyway, do I have to give it to them in 12 monthly installments?
No.
If I had it, could I give it to them in one installment on line 1?
Yeah.
If I did, would I be paid down to line 12 in 1 month?
Yes.
What would happen to all the interest between line 2 and line 12?
It's eliminated.
So interest payments I skip don't matter.
Okay.
Now, remember, we're doing this with $600 payments, and we're doing it, and our interest rate is what? 4.8. Let's take a look at the same at 3%. Now, here's my 3% loan. Okay, I'm going to scroll up so everybody can see it. $550,000 at 3%. I lower my mortgage payment to $23,882. So I'm saving money. So this is what the bank says: to save money to get that $2,300 payment instead of the other one, we're saving money here. So get the 3%. Let's buy it down to 3%. Okay.
Okay.
So now if we look at the 30-year numbers, we're paying less interest over 30 years. But guess what? My average client pays off in an average of 7 to 9 years, not 30. So any of these numbers that the bank gives you, they don't matter anymore because we're not going to be in the loan for 30 years.
Okay.
So we're not even listening to them. But when we get down to the payment, look at our principal payment and look at our interest payment. Even though our interest payment is smaller, look at our principal payment. So to get rid of one line on our principal payment, how much money do we have to come up with?
More money per month.
More money per month, don't we? So remember back when we on the other one where we could come up with about $8,000 and it took off 1 year worth of payments? What does $8,000 do here?
It only gets us to about 8 months.
Yes. So when you lower the interest rate, your money becomes less effective.
Okay.
And that's what most people, now listen, the person that you're getting your mortgage from won't be able to answer this question for you because the bank owners understand this very well. They don't teach it to their employees. You know now more about how a mortgage works than 99.9% of all loan officers on the planet.
Okay.
What do you think about this?
Well, I'm excited, honestly. It makes me feel a little bit better going into that.
So the next thing you want to do is find out. So here's what P.I.L.L stands for: prepayment of principal, isolating the principal amount, meaning what is the amount we need to pay towards principal, and then leverage and liquidity. To leverage, meaning what is the smallest amount that we pay? What is the right time to pay it so that we can kill more interest per dollar? Because you want your money to save a ton of interest, correct?
Yes.
All right, so let me go back to the higher interest rate of 4.8. I'm going to scroll down so that we can see line 12 and line 24. Do you have a calculator handy? If not, I'll just put one on the screen. Okay. So
Yeah.
we just went over what would happen if we prepaid the $8,400. We'd save a ton of interest and takes off a year's worth of payments, correct?
Yes.
What if we have plenty of money in the bank? Money is no object, but I only gave you two choices because you could prepay any amount, but I'm only going to give you two choices. You could do line 12 or you could do line 24. If we do line 12, we knock off 12 payments and save this much interest. If we do line 24, where we are prepaying $17,000 and saving 52 grand and knocking off 24 payments, which one would you choose if you had plenty of money between the two?
I would do the 24.
Okay, and why is that?
24. Because I would save twice as much interest.
Okay, now here's what the banks don't tell you. Now, if I pay this and I save this, can I take my savings and divide it by what I pay so I can find out how much interest I'm saving per dollar? In other words, if I put the $26,000 into my calculator and divide it by the $8,400, will that tell me how much interest I'm saving per dollar?
Yes. It
Okay.
should.
So let's go ahead and put that in your calculator. If you have it, I'm going to do it on screen so everybody can see. We're going to put in 26,216.55. We're going to divide it by $8,411.37. It equals $3.11, almost $3.12. So what we just found out, for every dollar you apply to this mortgage at this point, you do not have to pay the bank $3.11 per dollar. Isn't that great to know?
It is.
So if you gave me $1 and I gave you back $3.11, how many times would you do that?
As many as I could afford.
The bank has to do the same thing. Okay.
Got it.
All right. So here's what we're talking about. Let's do line 24. Okay. Where we're going to put in, remember, it's $3.11. So we're going to put in $52,020.35. We're going to divide it by 17,235.49. And that equals, $3 and a penny. I'm actually saving less per dollar.
Okay.
So what we want is to put the right amount of money on the loan at the right time to kill the maximum amount of interest per dollar. So if you could save $3.11 per dollar, should you ever accept saving $3 and a penny per dollar?
No.
No. So it's moving the right amount at the right time. There's so much we don't understand about how amortization works. It costs us a lot of money without the education, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
Okay.
But Don has some valuable information that can contribute to the quality of a person's life. And it only costs you a few dollars. It's his book. Why not get that?
I'm going to go through the P.I.L. method myself with some of my investment properties. So I'm going to link up with Don, and then I'm going to sit down with him, show him my investment portfolio, and see how I can eliminate interest.